morning. I'm Brian Kopp. I'm the professor of English and the academic dean here at Michigan Lutheran Seminary. I want to thank you for your interest in our school. And our task this morning, I will be explaining the MLS calendar, our different day cycle to our school, as well as the MLS curriculum, and some of the notifications that parents may receive regarding student performance. So let's take a look at it. The MLS school year is divided into 2 semesters. There are, the first semester has terms 1, 2, and 3. There are 6 terms per year. So the first semester has 3 terms. The second semester has 3 terms, terms 4 through 6. The dates that are listed here on the slide are approximate, but this is approximately when you will see, expect to have your child in school. Next, the MLS school day, we begin at 7:50 in the morning. We have 2 classes in the morning, and then we go to chapel. Chapel is 20 minutes long. All of the class periods are 45 minutes long, though. You can anticipate lunch in either the 5th or 6th hour that's indicated here. And then the afternoon classes, this is a little different. We actually have a rotating schedule on our afternoon classes depending on which day in the cycle, and I'll explain what that means in the next slide. But the afternoon classes will meet on a different day. So period 7 on the first day will meet 7th hour, and then the next day that class would meet 8th hour, and then the following day would meet 9th hour, and it rotates like that every day through the 6-day cycle. Let's take a look at the 6-day cycle. Most traditional high schools have just a normal Monday through Friday schedule. MLS is a little bit different. We have a 6-day cycle, and we would term each day, day 1, day 2, day 3, etc., all the way down to day 6. We do this because it offers the greatest scheduling flexibility. We're able to get the most classes, and it yields the best learning for our students to be able to do this. So just to illustrate how this might look, on Monday would be, if say Monday is a day 1, then Friday would be a day 5. The following Monday then would be a day 6. The day after that, of course, would be day 1 again, so the next Tuesday would be a day 1. There are, of course, no classes on Saturday or Sunday. Classes will meet either 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 6 days of the cycle. It just depends on the class. Let's take a look at the different classes that are offered here, and we're going to look at them by department. So we'll start with the English department. I'm an English professor here, and each of the columns here will be the same in each of the slides we look at, more or less. So let me first talk about the way this is laid out, and then I'll take you through what we offer in the English curriculum. So we have each of the different years that a student will be at MLS, so freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. The course title and number is listed there. The R in brackets would indicate it's a required course. If it says O, then it's optional. There are 6 days in the cycle maximum, but you'll see here that the number of times in which the class would meet during that 6-day cycle varies depending on the class. Again, I show whether it's 1 or 2 semesters. There are classes that meet just a single semester, and then the number of credits are there, and then you see a total that indicates the total required for graduation. So in the English curriculum, freshman year they take English 9, followed by composition and speech, American literature, and then British literature. I won't go into the details of each class's description. That can actually be found in the MLS website under the course catalog. If you look there, you can find a description of each of the classes. Next, the foreign language curriculum. Freshman year, every student will take Latin except for international students. International students are treated just a little bit differently. So every student except the internationals will take Latin 1 their first year. The second year, they have a choice. They can choose to take Latin 2 and continue in Latin. They can take Spanish 1, or they can take German 1. Of course, students here are encouraged to take more than one language. So they could take say Latin 2 and Spanish 1, or Latin 2 and German 1, for example. You'll note that those meet 5 days of the cycle and for both semesters. The junior year, students can continue in the language they took sophomore year. They need to take at least 2 years of every language that they take here. So if they were to take Spanish 1 first or sophomore year, they'd have to continue with Spanish 2 and at least get Spanish 2 in, for example. Senior year, again, they have a choice here. They can take Latin 4, Spanish 3-4, German 3-4. Some students have already taken Spanish, as an example, before they get to MLS, and they may be placed in a higher level. They might start sophomore year with, say, Spanish 2, for example, if they're really proficient. But most are going to start with a choice between Latin 2, Spanish 1, or German 1. Our math curriculum, you'll notice this is laid out just a little bit differently than the other slides that we've looked at. There are 3 different paths, and it depends on the student's proficiency in mathematics coming in. Every student that comes in here as a freshman will have to take a high school placement test. The high school placement test, as the name implies, helps us to appropriately place the student in the math level that will make them most successful. So path A, they would begin with pre-algebra, proceed through algebra, geometry, and then senior year they would finish with algebra 2. Path B is a little bit more rigorous, a little bit more difficult. They would start with algebra, move to geometry, then algebra 2, and then they would conclude with pre-calculus. And then lastly, the most advanced level, incoming freshmen would start right with geometry, go to algebra 2, then pre-calculus, and then AP calculus would be the last class. So there's not one that's better than another. It's just appropriately placing students in the level that will be the greatest likelihood for their success. The music curriculum, I have this actually divided into 2 different slides. So we have the freshman and sophomore on this slide, and we'll look at the junior and senior on the next slide. But in the freshman year, every student's going to take chorus. Notice the wide variance of times in the 6-day cycle that students will meet. Chorus meets 4 of the 6 days of the cycle, but music fundamentals, which is like a fundamental keyboarding class, is only going to meet 2 of those days. Piano and organ will meet 4 of the 6-day cycle, and they meet for 2 semesters. Sophomore year, all sophomores are going to take chorus 10. And they are required to take either piano or organ, and most will just take piano. Junior year, all juniors and all seniors are required to take at least 2 semesters of music, and many take more than that, but at least 2 semesters of music classes, and they can choose. They have a lot of choices. So the O indicates that it could be any one of these, but they do have to take at least 2 semesters of music. So someone might take, for example, concert choir and piano 11 their junior year. Some take, say, concert choir, piano, and band. It just depends on what their interest level is in music, but we offer lots of opportunities, and we try to make it so that they can take as many as they can in their schedule. So there's what we would call a music overload if someone wants to take in a large number of music classes. And senior year, the choices are more or less the same. You'll notice really the only difference there is hand chimes is offered junior year, hand bells is offered senior year, but otherwise the classes are more or less the same in terms of what they can choose from. PE is offered the freshman and sophomore years. They're not offered junior and senior year. Freshmen and sophomores will have the class meet 3 days in the cycle, 3 days in the 6-day cycle, and in, say, the sophomore year, they get, there's a unit built in for health as well as PE, and this satisfies the state of Michigan graduation requirements, which we're actually going to look at the graduation requirements here in just a little bit. The religion curriculum, as you would imagine at this school, since it's a ministerial prep school, we will have religion classes here and rigorous ones too. Freshman year, all students are going to take Bible 9, and sophomore year, Bible 10. Junior year, and this is slightly different, everyone will take Bible Church History 11, but Church History 11-12, which is a different class, class number 304, is optional in one sense. They can take it either their junior year or their senior year, but they must take it one of those 2 years. So lastly, senior year, all students will take doctrine, and that's the last religion class for seniors here. Let's look at our social studies curriculum. Freshman year, all freshmen are going to take an entire year of World History 9 and 1 semester of geography. Sophomore year, they'll take World History 10, followed by American History, and then senior year, they have a semester each of government and economics. So for the social studies, they'll finish with 4.5 credits for graduation. The science curriculum, freshmen just take a single semester their freshman year of general science, and then sophomore year they take a full year, sophomore and junior year they take a full year. So they have biology, chemistry, and physics. Our electives, we offer freshman year just a single choice. Students can opt to take band. It's not required, but it is encouraged that students take it, and they're available to take it all 4 years here at MLS. But that's the only elective that they're allowed in their schedule. This freshman schedule is pretty tightly structured, so there's not a lot of wiggle room for students to choose from things, which actually makes things better in many ways. Sophomore year, students will choose band, and then of course they can choose a second foreign language, as I already indicated. And that second language, the primary language would need to be Latin, Latin 2, and then they can choose to add German 1 or Spanish 1. Once again, that's optional. They're not required to take 2 languages, but again, it's encouraged that they would take it. Junior and senior year, the elective choices are the same. Students can elect to take American History, 1945 to present, Art and Art History 1, Art and Art History 2, Earth Science, and Anatomy and Physiology. Once again, for each of the years that from sophomore on, they can choose to take foreign language, or they can take a music overload by taking more music classes. We do offer a few classes online. Currently, the 3 classes we offer that students can take through ALHSO, which is Area Lutheran High School online, are AP Psychology, AP Statistics, and Chinese 1 and Chinese 2. Those are subject to departmental approval for someone to actually be able to take those classes. But those are the 3 classes. I didn't include them on here because it really depends on whether they have enough students enrolled for them to even have the class. It's not a guarantee that the class will actually be available, but all other Wells High Schools participate, or many of the other Wells High Schools participate in this. MLS graduation requirements. To satisfy our graduation requirements, students must satisfy 2 things. They have to satisfy the state of Michigan graduation requirements, and they have to satisfy the enrollment requirements for the entry grade level here. So I'm going to show you on the next slide what those number breakdowns look like. But we're going to look at really what a typical 4-year MLS student would have to, what the total number of credits they'd have in order to graduate. So you'll see here on this slide, there's each department is listed: English, foreign language, math, music, all the way down, and the number of credits for each. Currently, it's at 31.2 credits. If a student is enrolled here from freshman to senior year, they would have a minimum of 31.2 credits to be required for enrollment, and then the state of Michigan requirements are 20 credits. Part of the reason for the difference between those 2 numbers is we do get students that will transfer to MLS, and they may come in, say, from a public high school. They won't have taken some of the classes that an enrolled student here would take. So we have to honor what the state of Michigan will give for being able to honor a diploma. But otherwise, they will be required to take the classes in sequence. The MLS grading scale is rigorous. It's typical for Wells schools, but in other schools across America, this would be a very aggressive grading scale. So you can see the bottom of an A minus would be a 93. In most schools across America, it's a 90. And you'll see at the other end of the spectrum, a 70% is an F, or below a 70% is an F. So that's, since this is a prep school, the standards are higher, and therefore students are expected to achieve at a higher level. It's of course able to be done. It just requires diligence from the students and excellence from them. Student grade reports and notification. MLS uses an online SIS system. It's called the Student Information System. It has our grade book and our attendance and all those sort of things that you would typically associate with teaching. We use one from a company called Infinite Campus. Parents can actually access online their students' grades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's become kind of standard in this day and age. But one thing that I really like that we offer is email notifications to parents. Anytime a child is missing an assignment, by 4 o'clock that day, they will receive an email from their professor. Or if they have a failed assignment, and the assignment could be anything, a quiz, a test, a project, a worksheet, whatever, parents will also receive a notification. So parents are very much kept in the loop, which I know to parents that have their child living here in the dorm is really important. With 24-hour access, they could check it anyway, but it's nice to be able to receive those notifications and then have that conversation with their child if they're struggling. Or to celebrate a success, you can always look online and see the good grades that they're getting. Progress reports are available online at the end of every term, and report cards are available at the end of every semester. Academic help, we do offer any number of ways to help students that might be struggling academically. The person who's in the best position to help your son or daughter or guardian is the teacher, obviously. They can make appointments with the teacher after school and talk to them about any number of struggles they may have or how they might succeed in the class. On occasion, peer tutors are available. They would want to coordinate that with the faculty member in charge of the Academic Success Center. The Academic Success Center, we call it the ASC, it offers one-on-one and group academic counseling. One of our faculty members builds a relationship with the struggling student to better understand their needs, and they develop a plan on how they can be successful. Sometimes a student struggles simply because maybe there's some things in their academic background where they have deficiencies, and they just need some additional tutoring or help. Others simply just need help with self-management and time management and study skills, and we provide those through the Academic Success Center. But typically students will be placed into the Academic Success Center when we see that they're struggling through a term. A professor can refer them, and then they would get the help after school typically. I hope I've answered any of your questions about Michigan Lutheran Seminary. I'm sure I haven't answered all of them. Please feel free to contact me at the email address listed on the slide. And I want to thank you again for your interest in our school, and we hope to see you here.